This is my first time posting. I have quite a few stories to share. These are events that I have experienced or stories that my mom has told me which I feel are unexplained and could be considered paranormal. First, some introduction. Lived most of my life in a town in the southwest US bordering Mexico. Both parents grew up in the opposite bordering town before marrying and coming over to the US. Earlier years growing up spent most of the time with mom. Dad was usually at work and only really saw him early morning or at night during weekdays. Mom is super into learning about mysticism, the esoteric, and other religions despite being the most devout Catholic I know. Anyway, enough of that. Mom tells me different things about her past. Be me preschool to elementary school age. Mom starts talking to me about her past, specifically childhood, once in a while. Tells me about how her and her half-sister, my aunt, lived with their mom, grandmother, and had a horrible childhood. Grandmother was a single mom, almost never home, comes back drunk all the time, beats them, house is never clean with bugs and mice. At one point their mother leaves for several months to go live in a different state, leaving them alone at the apartment they lived in. Mom tells me about auras at some point. Says that she could see them around people when she was very young, but could do it less as she got older, and not all by the age of 10. Says it looked like a white glow for everyone not more than a foot away from their silhouette. Only differences between people were that for some it was brighter and for others darker, and that the light would behave differently, sometimes being a constant straight shine, wavy, or vibrating. Later on in life, thought it might have something to do with people's souls or living energy. Say she doesn't understand why she could see aura, but her theory was that it might work as a shield to protect us from certain things. Can't. Says she thinks the suffering she went through might have fractured something which in turn allowed her see auras. Fast forward several years. Be teenager. Mom likes to watch a famous religious personality on TV. Goes to one of their gathering shows in the US. Comes back and tells me excited that she was able to see the light around that person. Fast forward a few years, come back home late afternoon with mom from groceries. I'm talking to her about this thing I learned, or some kind of idea, can't remember what, but I am really into it. After a few minutes she stares at me in a weird way. I notice and ask her what's up. Says she can see the thing she refers to as aura around me. It's hard to see, but is faint and quivering. I get a bit creeped out, which makes her laugh. I've never experienced what she described, but I have no reason to think that she was lying to me, simply just telling me her experience. Can't. Mom tells me her experiences with what can be called ghosts or spirits. Mom says she has been able to see and somewhat communicate with spirits for a long time, but can't recall when it started. Tells me about a time she went to stay at a convent for nuns, when for a few days, either a few years after or before I was born. Goes with a group of other women, just to get away from daily life for a bit and pray. She says that people in that town had rumors or believed that the head nun was very powerful in terms of faith, to the point that she could levitate and that demons would try to come after her. One of the days she is staying there, everything is normal, she gets through her daily activities, night comes and she goes to sleep with the rest of the women visiting. Wakes in the middle of the night. Has to take a piss. Looks out through window at courtyard. The place is almost pitch black, if not for the moonlight and a few lamps outside. Bathroom is on the other side of the courtyard. Barely sees someone in the dark walking towards the bathroom. Figures it must be one of the other women. Decides to go and walks across the courtyard into the bathroom, barely awake. Goes into the bathroom, takes a piss, starts leaving. Realizes as she's leaving the bathroom that no one else was in there. Gets spooked, doesn't give a fuck and keeps walking until she makes it back to her room and goes back to sleep. Doesn't see anything strange for the rest of the visit. Mom visited by her dead father in her dreams. Be age 5. Grandfather passes away. Never really got to know him. Was never close with my mom since he didn't raise her and spent most of his days during her childhood drinking in the streets. Everyone who knew him says he was a very calm and kind individual. One time he got in a car accident that fucked his leg up pretty bad, couldn't really walk after that, and also later got cancer. After his death, mom says she started having dreams where he comes to visit her. She says it felt almost like he was present by her bed. One time a bit after his death she has a dream where he comes to tell her that an uncle of hers from her mom's side of the family is going to die. She then sees an image or scene of several women sitting in chairs in a row crying. Wakes up the next day worried. Several family members are getting together at her aunt's house a few days later. Her mom has 6 sisters and 2 brothers. 4 of her aunts have always lived in the same house where they grew up and is a family gathering spot to this day. She pays a visit and later on starts telling everyone about her dream and that she's worried. Her aunts are creeped the fuck out and are losing it, some saying she is just crazy or that her dad wouldn't do anything to her uncle because they got along with each other. Everyone is on edge, they change the conversation, no one brings it up again. A couple weeks later my mom's uncle gets sick all of a sudden and has to be hospitalized. He's there for several days and doctor says he's not looking good. Mom pays the hospital a visit with her mom's family. Her mom and aunts get emotional and start crying. Goes in to try to talk to uncle, but he not awake. Turns to start leaving the room, and at that moment she sees the exact same thing from her dream. Her mom and aunts were the women sitting down crying in her dream. Keeps it to herself and leaves. Her uncle got better after, lived about another 15 years. Can't. Sorry for the wait. Had to go to work and just got back home. A few years later is the last time mom's dad visits in her dreams. He shows up and tries to talk to her like he always did. This she lets him know that she doesn't want him to keep coming to her anymore and asks him to leave. He seemed a bit saddened by this, but ended up leaving. He never visited her dreams after that. She thinks maybe he regretted not being there for her as a kid and wanted to make it up to her somehow. Another time, about 5 years ago, a different uncle dies and mom sees him in a dream too. Mom's uncle dies of some sudden random lung illness. He lived in Mexico but worked for the US Embassy. Would go to DC for training as a driver for important people. Learned how to do different kinds of maneuvers and other related things. Anyway, after his death mom has a dream where she sees him. In the dream her uncle says he had been tired out by his wife and daughters. Mom tells him to go rest now. He leaves and she wakes up the next day. Some people in the family including my mom knew about a family secret regarding that uncle of hers. He had a girlfriend when he was younger and was going to have a son with her. Dated his wife who at the time went full on Yandir threatening suicide and forced him to stay with her and marry her. He had 3 daughters and 1 son with his wife. The older generation in the family knew about his first son, but his wife didn't want him in the picture. Once he became an adult he would try to reconnect with his dad and sometime people in the family would try to help, but his wife and daughters would throw tantrums and make him feel like shit. Saddest part was when they didn't even let his son go to his funeral. Can't. Okay, here's some strange things my mom has told me before that have nagged me for some time, especially the last. Be me. About 5 to 8 years old. Mom tells me about how I am special. She has told me this multiple times throughout my life. Yeah, there's the typical moms think all their kids are special. But when she tells me this, the way she says it is different and clearly separating me from my brother. Tells me about how I was made and born. No, not the sex talk. Says that the reason I'm special is because, before I was conceived she met, spoke with God in her sleep, and planned me out, my qualities, personality, etc. That's all she says, and it never goes anywhere else. Anyway, later I'm in elementary school, and she tells me a different story I've heard about 4 times since. Be me, age 5. Random day, mom is eating at a restaurant with some friends. Having conversation and starts talking to her friends about me. Mom notices some man walk up next to her table and calls out to her. Mom asks him if he needs anything. The man says he couldn't help but overhear the conversation. Specifically the one about me. WTF? The man tells my mom that I am special and that he knows someone, another man, who would really like to meet me. Lets my mom know where to find them and leaves. Mom is a bit creeped out, think they're probably random weirdos. She doesn't go look for them and forgets about it. A few months later. Can't. A few months later. Mom has a friend who is into divination. Her friend says she heard about a guy who happens to be in town at the time that does Corey shell reading. Friend wants to go, but not alone, so she invites mom. Mom doesn't buy into that stuff, but decides she'll just go along with her friend, but won't get the reading done. They go meet the dude at the place he does the readings. Mom describes him as a gringo hippie from the way he looked and was dressed. Probably in his 50s. Friend gets her reading done, and mom just watches. After they're done, the man asks my mom if she wants a reading. Mom tells him she doesn't, and they start getting ready to leave. The man out of nowhere straight up starts telling her these things that to this day she doesn't quite understand. He asks her, but more like stating, you have a young boy about age 5, right? My mom is a bit confused, but doesn't think much of it and tells him that's right. As best as I can remember, the man then says your son is very special, he is a being of fire and a very old soul that was a great teacher and has come to teach people. You must be careful in nurturing that fire and not let it go out. After that he tells her to bring me to him when she gets the chance and that he really wants to meet me. Mom just says okay and leaves. She's really weirded out now but also intrigued. She decided not to take me and just kept it to herself. Her reasoning for that was she thought it would be really weird to take her son to a random stranger. At the time back in the early 2000s my mom was really into that indigo and crystal child stuff, so she thought there might have been some kind of relation, she would think I was an indigo child. Don't really understand much about that myself and she doesn't really seem into that stuff anymore. The first thing that comes to mind is how my grandfather used to lose his shit and get mad at me when I did anything remotely fun during thunderstorms. Be me. It's pouring outside. Decide to fix a snack. Grandfather comes in. You mustn't glutton during thunderstorms. Okay. Sit down and play cards with my cousins. Grandfather comes in, scolds us and takes the cards away. Okay. Start goofing around the house, doing noisy kid stuff. Grandfather comes in. That's no way to behave yourself during thunderstorms, ask grandfather why. Grandfather then tells a story from his old village his mother used to tell him, the early 1930s. Small now non-existent village in Bryansk Oblast. It started to rain, and no more work could be done in the field. People gathered in a local hub for a dance night. Men bring booze and snacks to make the night fun. Accordion plays, women sing and tell spicy chastushki, Russian short folk songs, usually vulgar or comedic. Time to dance in pairs. Some middle-aged woman has no partner, so she gets blasted instead. Grabs a wooden icon of Christ, see pickerel, from the wall and starts dancing around the room shouting got a partner, to everybody's laughter. Thunder roars, the dancers tumble and fall. The room is quiet, everybody gets up except the woman, so they decide to check on her. She lies stiff with the icon in her hands, eyes wide open, not blinking. Not breathing. Took 2 men to take the icon away from her hands. The wooden icon has her black handprints burned in. Heavy rain and thunder is Christ crying for our souls, so acting like a fool is disrespectful. That's why you never act foolish during thunderstorms. Would only read books once it started pouring since then. Even though this story is short, it took me more than an hour to type out, because the longer I do this the further I delve into memories, some of which make me sentimental, and some give me goosebumps. Will probably go out to buy a drink and post more later. Be me. 22 meters insomnia fucks me up every day. 2 a.m. and can't sleep for shit. Hear my guitar getting played. Look at the corner of my room where it is at. Nothing. Guitar is inside the bag, how the fuck did it make a noise? Goes back to trying to sleep, and actually sleep this time. Suddenly wake up. It's raining. Flashing thunder. 2:58 a.m. Look at the same corner guitar is at. See a gigantic fucking spider. It has a human head. It has no eyes. They are pitch black holes on its face. It's looking at me. Get up fast. Kinda scared. More angry than anything, because insomnia makes me fucking angry. I'm ready to beat the undying shit out of spider demon in my bedroom. Yell what the actual fuck, blink. It's gone. I'm gonna fucking get you spider demon, show your face again, I am gonna fuck you up. Crawlers even mimic cat voice. Be encountered one in my backyard. Be me, playing BF3 at 2 a.m. in summer. Hear dog's toy squeaking noise, like it was really slowly stepped over, and sound was really powerful. Stop playing, take off headphones. My god, hear again it from window. Try to see anything, it's night. Open my door to see if anything gets scared or SMTH. My heart is pounding of unknown at this moment. Felt like a silence before the storm moment. No birds, no car noise, just pure fucking silence. Hear the toy again. Full goosebumps. That's it, I'm getting my non-lethal gun with me. Climbing down the stairs, backyard is big, one side, where I come to is grass, other side is bushes and a lot of vegetation. Stand by my fence, that between my house and my backyard just after the barn. Hear kittens meow, I'm like WTF less scared, try to punch onto my metal fence to scare it away. Bushes start fking moving and breaking, as if human was hiding in it and started messing with me. I'm scared as fuck at that moment. But I have gun, I point at the bushes, but can't figure out at where to shoto with PB gun to scare away that thing. Shoot, nothing, silence. Again meow, but different. Try again making a lot of noise to make it scared or whatever, again made kitten's noise way different, and it's moving bushes im like WTFFF, said im gonna call cops if it doesn't move. Felt a lot of bad energy like im being watched, and im about to be snatched. Just fking left the backyard, went to my house and didn't even fking tried to look at that side for night. Fking bizarre how it felt, that's all I can say. Okay, first time posting, and I kind of have to get this wild as story off my chest. Some backstory. Come from a upper middle class family with super wealthy grandparents on both sides. Always lived on a massive farm. Used to the woods and outdoors and never have a fear of the darker outdoors. Be me. Be 14. Be living in rural Appalachia in super low income area. Have medium-sized farm and have to go to Florida most summers to help on family farm down there as well. This summer was the same as usual, shitty farm work in the Florida sun. One day older sis says, hey shithead, let's go fishing in the old mines. Think nothing of this, because usual horse trails and such. Agree. While hiking out into the swamp keep getting glimpses of this field that just seems wrong. Set up at some old mine holes filled with water and start fishing. Need to piss. Go piss. See field again in the distance. Say fuck it. Mistake.jpg. Walk towards field and pass through a bush into this place which absolutely did not belong. From wet marshy ground to solid dirt and alfalfa grass. Hot summer sun seems distant to this cool and comfortable breeze. Wander around thinking this has never been here, or I would have seen it while writing. See the spot that would become the home of my recurring nightmares. Small wood log fence surrounding a worn down shed. No door but you couldn't see inside. The dirt on the other side of the fence was beat down and rye. Like it was trampled by rowdy horses all day and night for years. Be a retard and think I need to explore the shed. Approach and start to climb the fence. Literally shit myself when I feel in hand that was wrong on my shoulder and a very not human voice say, do not enter there. That is not a place for you. Freaking the fuck out because what the fuck is touching me and how the fuck did it sneak up to me in the open field. Immediately stop and get off the fence. Turn towards it and start to freak out. Fucking spooky. Did they have stories about the elves too? This story is a story of mine round about 20 years ago. Been thinking about it from time to time and have the feeling that I want to share this with you here. Be me 12 yo sleeping in my room. Dreaming about getting up and going down in the basement where my father had his office. Remember sitting in front of his open door observing him how he is coding. Telling him that I am going to bed now, but if something happens I can sleep in his bed. He mumbles in agreement as he was deep into his coding. Instead of going to bed directly, I remember standing in the pantry, next to the kitchen, looking at the watch of the microwave. 2:22 a.m. Turning myself to the kitchen. A dark sphere is hovering just over the floor approx. 3 meters away from me. Feel an unbreakable desire to move the sphere. Give it a little push. Suddenly feels like the floor is tilting to one way, the legs to another way, my torso to another and my head somewhere else. Kind of feels like the world is breaking apart. Mild anxiety yet nothing I couldn't handle. Desire to push it even more. Same feeling but stronger as I push the sphere a little stronger. Don't remember how often I played this pushing game yet at one point I get annoyed angry. Push it as hard as I could. Instead of just a tilting feeling of my body, the whole world flips and twists itself. Panic. Run as fast as I could and jumped into the bed of my father, hiding under the blanket, and fall to sleep really fast. Sometime later my dad wants to sleep, was wondering about my being in his bed. Remember him about the promise, turned myself around, and continue to sleep. Woke up. In my father's bed. Since it wasn't the first time I dream about spheres I wasn't really scared of it. Anyone else? I'll give you one about an experience I had sleeping last night. Be me. Asleep. Felt like it was early in the morning, don't ask me how I know. Suddenly feel body seize up due to external force. Force strong enough that I get woken into a semi-lucid state. I've never lucid dreamt, so I don't know. The force feels demonic or evil in origin. Not sure what is happening. More afraid than I've been in long time. Maybe ever. So afraid that I begin to pray. Any line that I can remember. Repeating them. Shouting. Force gets stronger, and so does my praying. Notice pressure and heat on my part of my neck. Wonder if I've been visited by a vampire. Eventually I get released. Feel immense relief and triumph. Begin to question if I beat it. Or it satiated itself and left on its own accord. Remain in bed and go back to deep sleep until the fear subsides. Perhaps another couple hours pass. Wake up. Be me. Get abducted by reps, experimented on. They activate dormant rep cells I had from a really ancient line of rep ancestors. My human ancestors were forced to fuck reps. There are many types of subspecies, i.e. soldier, advisor, king, commoner, already decided from birth. Mine is psychic. My waking cells activate, go into survival mode and accidentally kill the rep who was prepping me to breed his daughter, a lesser class. They did it in secret since it was a serious crime. The experiment rewrites my DNA. Get dry patches in my skin, some resemble small scales. Mood swings, easily irritable, violent and sadist tendencies, road rage, increased hearing and smell, a ridiculously high libido and stamina. Get invaded in my dreams by different reps who try to overpower me, but I always kick their asses with my new powers. Get finally tricked by the rep female to impregnate her, never see her again. One day I have a vision from the future. My rep daughter is a cult leader. Royal psychic bloodlines are albinos, but she is a new kind of monster. She has hypermelanosis, Google AM Samani chicken, and have curly horns like the Draco types. She wears a royal purple cape during her religious services, is forbidden, and have secret meetings with reps of all classes, which is the same as racemixing to them. She slowly unites classes into one religion and will bring chaos and doom to her race. MFW.